Hello everybody, it is Nicole from iiKiui, and today I wanted to start a new series that I've been hesitant to start, but I've always wanted to. Some of you may know this, but I rarely, if ever, draw fan art. And it's not that I don't want to, I just feel like I won't do the character justice. So I thought I would kick off this series with an iconic character, which is Barbie. I've always wanted to draw some kind of fan art for the Barbie movies, and I thought it would be fun to do this series where I draw anime characters in my style. I think I've gotten to a place where I'm relatively happy with my style, and I wouldn't mind seeing what other cartoon characters look like in my art style. I also wanted to start with Barbie because Barbie movies are actually ones that I tend to go back to, whether it's playing in the background while drawing or I just want to watch something. Barbie is typically my default. I don't know about you guys, but I'm the type of person to watch and rewatch movies whenever I feel like it. Let me know in the comments if you're someone who watches movies many times or just once or twice. I'm very curious to see your answers. So as always, I start off with a rough sketch where I figure out the basic pose, proportions, and overall composition. I'm glad I'm getting a little more comfortable filming the sketching portion because I find this part to be the most helpful when watching, but it was difficult to film because you would literally only see the top of my head. Once I get the basic shapes and idea down, I pull up a reference of the character. Surprisingly, there was not a lot of great reference photos of Barbie as Rapunzel, especially of the full gown at the end. And then there was the slight dilemma in deciding which outfit to use, either the one from the movie or the one that they put on the doll. But I just ended up going for the one in the movie because it just seemed fitting to use. Plus, I had a few ideas for the dress that will be revealed later on in the video. As you can guess, Rapunzel's hair took the longest to finish up in the sketch because she has a lot of hair. In the movie, her braids are seen on the back of her head, but since we can't see the back of her head in the drawing, I wanted to include the braids anyways. In my reference photo, some of the braids were also in the front, so I used that idea in my drawing as well. After the sketch was complete, I transferred it onto a piece of marker paper with a Prismacolor Color Erase pencil in rose. Someone in the comments told me that Prismacolor color erases are expensive in their area, so if this is the case for you, or you don't want to spend extra money on these pencils, then I would actually suggest using a regular pencil, but just make sure that the lead is at least an H. If you use a pencil with a softer lead, it'll be more likely to smear when coloring. Another alternative option is to use regular color pencils. I think they work just as well, especially if you know your color scheme beforehand, but just make sure that they have a harder lead or else they also will smudge and smear. Since I know the color scheme of this character beforehand, because she is not an original character of mine, I had chosen my markers ahead of time, which will be linked in the description below, as well as a list of the specific markers I used in this video. As per usual, I started with the skin and blush, creating it the same way that I normally do. I'll have a link in the card and description for the mini tutorial video that I did showing how I create blush using alcohol markers. After the skin is complete, I add the base colors onto the dress. These areas are quite large, so I make sure to get a smooth, even layer before moving on. It's important to take the time to make an even base layer because this can affect the layers above. If the bottom layer is streaky and dry, then the layers on top will have a difficult time looking smooth and blended. I also have a video tutorial on how to color smoothly with alcohol markers, which I'll also link in the cards and description. Once the colors for the dress are complete, I move on to the hair. I made sure to avoid coloring in the areas on the hair that I wanted to keep white. Of course, you can add in the white gel pen at the end if you want, but I like avoiding that step as much as I can during the process. When shading hair, I like to have at least 2, maybe 3 colors to give the hair some dimension. When I create the hair during the sketching process, I make sure to include layers so it's easier for me to add shadows later on. I add the darker color on parts behind the character, which are usually towards the middle, as well as on the outer edge where I added extra pieces that appear behind the main blob of hair. Nowadays, when I create hair, I add more lines because it helps me figure out where to add highlights and shadows. I used to draw with more simple shapes, but now I've come to a point where I realize that I like drawing in the line between simple and detailed. Near the end of the piece, I had an idea to add shimmers to her dress, and I remember in the movie when she transforms into this dress that it's basically sparkling the entire time. Originally, I was thinking of gluing on glitter, but I couldn't find them, so I went with my Kurotake watercolor set that I reviewed last week. I was able to add gold to the trims of her dress, and I used the sheer gold shimmer instead of the white gold one in order to tie in the warm color palette. Of course, I was drawing on marker paper, so it didn't take very well to the paint. It did warp the paper, but that was easily fixed with stacking heavy books on top once the paint had dried. When I got to the line art, I finally remembered to use the colored pens this time around. I always forget to use them before it's too late, but I wanted this piece to keep its soft feeling, so colored lines was the way to go. Plus, that's how I color most of my digital pieces anyways, so it only seemed fitting. Overall, I really enjoyed drawing Barbie as Rapunzel, and I hope you all enjoyed watching. I plan to draw most, if not all, of the Barbie movies, like Nutcracker and Swan Lake, etc., but I also want to expand to other characters in different shows and movies. I'm not sure who to draw next, but maybe I'll leave a comment with some characters and you all can vote on it. If you have any other suggestions, feel free to leave a comment down below and I can add it to my ever-growing list. If you enjoyed the video and want to see more like this, be sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you're notified of when I post a new video. So with that, I want to thank you all so much for joining me today. Keep drawing, keep creating, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!